Olympic volunteers wanted to help at the games. They didn't sign up for COVID. Tokyo CNN. When the Tokyo Olympics put out a call for volunteers, Nima Esnashari signed up along with thousands of others in Japan, eager to soak up the atmosphere of the world's biggest sporting event. But the closer the games get, the more anxious he's becoming about the risk of catching COVID-19. Like the majority of Japan's population, he hasn't been vaccinated and didn't know if he will receive a dose before the pandemic delayed it. Games begin on July 23. I love the Olympics, but I don't want to get corona, said Esnashari, a language teacher from Hyogo Prefecture. It's great to be part of something bigger than yourself, but there's a risk factor that at the current time is very high. Japan is fighting a fourth wave of COVID-19, and though the virus isn't spreading as quickly as it was in May, around 2,000 new cases are being reported each day. Just weeks away from the Olympics, fewer than 10% of Japan's population has received at least one dose. Taro Kono, Japan's vaccine minister, said Tuesday 800,000 doses are being administered daily, and the country should reach 1 million doses per day by the end of June. However, at that rate, fewer than 20% of Japan will be fully vaccinated by the time the games begin. Games organizers plan to vaccinate 18,000 Olympic workers, including referees, staff, doping testers, and some volunteers. But with some 70,000 volunteers, there won't be enough to go around. It is not clear how many of the volunteers will get a dose. Of the 80,000 people who signed up to help at the games, at least 10,000 have quit, mostly due to the pandemic. Esnashari is still not sure if he will put out. If I was go to without being vaccinated, in the back of my mind, I would be thinking, am I going to get corona today, or is it going to be tomorrow? Volunteers say they have been given little protection against COVID-19 beyond the cloth mask, hand sanitizer, and pamphlet instructing them to keep others at a safe 2-meter distance. The Olympic website encourages volunteers to take public transportation between their homes and Olympic venues. Doctors are warning of the risk of having so many unvaccinated people moving in and out of the Olympic Village. They fear the Olympics could push Japan's already overstretched medical system to the brink. Language teacher Nima Esnashari is considering dropping out as a Tokyo 2020 volunteer. Volunteers are disillusioned. An army of enthusiastic volunteers has been key to the success of recent Olympic Games, helping to operate the venues and assist the spectators and athletes. Around 50,000 volunteers were recruited to support the 2016 Rio Games, although reports suggest thousands quit their roles due to long working hours. Tokyo organizers say the recent withdrawal of around 10,000 volunteers in Japan won't impact operations because of other COVID-19 restrictions, including a ban on spectators, meaning fewer overall numbers at the games. When college student Jun Hakakeyama signed up to volunteer at the Tokyo Olympics, he was filled with national pride, excited to welcome the world's best athletes to his country. But he says his enthusiasm slowly turned into anxiety and disillusionment as he witnessed one problem after another, from rising Olympic costs to sexist comments from the former head of the Tokyo Olympics, and now the decision to hold the games from organizers barreling ahead with the event despite the surgery cases in Japan. Hakakeyama has quit his role to make a statement. The Olympic Games is belittling human lives, as he said. Our lives are not normal. It's a state of emergency now. So why can't we hold the Olympics 2020 now? I think the meaning of the Olympic Games is completely forgotten. Olympic volunteer Jun Hakakeyama has pulled out due to concerns over COVID-19. But other volunteers are made sanguine, including Philbert Ono, a travel writer and photographer in Tokyo. I believe all possible safety measures will be taken and I will also be following all protocols, so I am confident that the risk will be very much reduced, Ono said. Norihiko Tsuzuki, the graduate school in Japan, said he's still excited to work as an Olympic volunteer despite the mounting challenges leading up to the games. I hope the obstacles Japan has faced will force the country to improve, he said. A safe bubble. Organizers insist the Olympics can be held in a safe bubble. Athletes will be regularly tested, contact traced, and socially distanced. By the time the games start, officials expect more than 80% of athletes to be vaccinated. But public health experts say there are many ways for the bubble to be punctured, especially if tens of thousands of largely unvaccinated and untested volunteers are moving between Olympic venues. Even without spectators, it's not a bubble. There are too many leaks in it, said epidemiologist Michael Tooley from the Burnett Institute in Melbourne, Australia. Having these 70,000 volunteers out in the community, moving from neighborhood to neighborhood, then going into the games, where we have around 20% unvaccinated, then we are looking at a high-risk scenario. The third and final Olympic playbook of COVID-19 measures says some sport-specific volunteers will be tested regularly at the games, without specifying how many that would include. Warnings from Japan's medical community continue to grow. The Tokyo Medical Practitioners Association, an organization representing 6,000 doctors in Tokyo, wrote a letter calling for the games to be cancelled. The most important priority now is the fight against COVID-19 and to secure people's lives and livelihoods, the letter said. Japan will bear a big responsibility if the hosting of the Olympic and the Paralympic Games contribute to the spread of COVID-19 and increases on the number of sufferers and deaths. The head of Japan's COVID-19 task force, Shigeru Omi, said earlier this month it's not normal to host the Olympics during the pandemic, warning the games would have the impact on infections in Japan. Japan's government is scheduled to end the state of emergency in Tokyo and several other prefectures on June 20, but is considering keeping some curb, such as on restaurant hours, till the Olympics start in July, Kyodo News reported Tuesday. Rolling out the vaccines. As the Olympics fast approaches, Japan is ramping up its vaccination plan. But even if the country had the capacity to administer 1 million doses a day from tomorrow, it still faces the challenge of encouraging people to take the vaccine. The rollout began in February with people ages 65 and over, but so far only around a third of all senior citizens have been vaccinated. Kono, the vaccine minister, acknowledged some people were reluctant to show their arm, and indicated part of the process would be encouraging people to take this shot. As it goes down, we are trying to reach younger generations. More and more people are not interested in vaccines, so how can we encourage them to get vaccinated? Kono said. Large-scale coronavirus vaccination sites run by the state in Tokyo and Osaka will begin offering shots to younger people from across the country on Thursday. According to Japanese state broadcaster NHK, vaccinations are due to start at workplace and universities next week, though some companies such as Japanese airline ANA have started early. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga wants everyone who desires the vaccine to receive it by October or November. Still, with 5 weeks to go before the start of the Olympics, the pressure is on to ensure the public that Tokyo is safe. Language teacher S. Nasari said he was planning to stay with friends in the capital during the Olympics. Before the pandemic, he said they were willing, but now it's like, do I want to live with someone interacting with possibly thousands of people a day? At a very minimum, I would prefer if they are able to house the volunteers in the designated hotels and give them the proper shuttle bus to the venues, he said. Like S. Nasari Barbara Holsos, a Tokyo Olympic volunteer and deputy director of the German Institute for Japanese Studies in Tokyo, is also considering dropping out of the games. I need to protect myself, I need to protect my family, so if I think this is going to be dangerous to me and my family, I'm going to quit, Holtos said. It's absolutely the wrong time to hold a sporting event, she added. It's absolutely the wrong message at a time when the world is suffering. CNN's Junko Ogura contributed reporting.